You're listening to the Go Lightly Martial Hour on freedomtalkradio.net. freedomtalkradio.net.
And it is show of business. There's no business like show of business at all. And we know what the...
You know, that sounds exactly like Ethel Merman.
Does it?
She's been dead quite a while.
Yes, all right. So she's... all right. So we're up to show number 325. And the ripping yarn gets more ripping as all concerns.
Some of this stuff is so unbelievable.
What
man alive. People are doing.
All in the name of their god, Shiva.
I'm going to put the camera down on the Antichrist himself, which is Francis. And although I leave comments on various religious programs or CERN programs or conspiracy programs or whatever, and they're all yap on about they think they know. But of course, when I leave a comment and say, well, if you're going to be the Antichrist, you actually have to be someone who knows that Christ is on the earth, has been told by an official of the Catholic Church that has repented, the former beast Pope Benedict, who introduced in private to this man here, and the idiot swore allegiance to this idiot.
Yes,
and
they're all idiots.
He's talking to the Lord himself in Australia.
Yeah.
And I say, you don't swear oaths.
That's right.
Let your yea be yea or nay be nay, and that's it. But he swore an oath to Pope Francis, who was a Jesuit.
Yes.
Who was a Jew.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we said what's null and void.
That's why they allowed him to be Pope. He was so naive they could control him.
Yeah.
Right? So here we have a man that has denied a Pope.
Which makes him anti-Pope.
Which makes him anti-Christ.
What makes him anti-Pope and anti-Christ.
Of course, yeah. Because this man cannot be elected because the Christ was made known to Benedict
before.
While he was still alive in the day before. The
conclave elected the Antichrist.
Now, the most extraordinary thing. We've got Mount Graham, which we'll see in a slide in a moment, which is in the United States. And the Apaches say it is a stargate. So the Vatican muscled its way onto it to be involved in this gigantic and most expensive telescope. There's a binocular telescope there. It's got two 8-metre eyes that look out into space that makes it more able to see. And they have found the planets coming in. Of course, it's been unknown for 50 odd years, but they now know that it's coming in, and they're trying to divert it towards themselves as being these demons that are coming from the alien planets. When in actual fact, they are the angels coming in.
That's right.
But they are convinced they are the demons that are in control of all the universe, and we are a little microbe that has come last on the scene. And we have now reached the atomic age and therefore making nuclear bombs and so forth, so we're going to have to be corrected. And respect Mother Earth and so forth.
And the whole Gaia principle.
Now, some of these things are quite correct. The Earth does have an intelligence, right? Just like the coral reefs have an intelligence, right? Or all dolphins swimming along together have an intelligence, right? Birds flocking together. you'll see them all turn instantly at the same time. Right? Or fish shoals of sardines will turn instantly when a shark comes in to grab to eat them. So there is this collective intelligence. It's like, hey, turn now! Right. And they do it very quickly. And we just don't hear it. So it's a type of intelligence and communication beyond our perspective. So here's Pope Francis, who is, of course, got to be the Antichrist, because he's told by a Pope that Christ is back. First time in living history that a Pope, who was the head of a church, has said, listen, Christ's here, speak to him. And you, of course, my darling, had contacted all of the cardinals.
Yes.
And
Days
all
before.
of the nuns in Rome. Right? From New York to Rome. Right? And from Australia to New York to Rome. So I got these slides up here. Now, they're not in particular order because of how things are, but I want to show you what CERN is all about. And this is a statue of Shiva. There you go, it's on the screen. That is outside of the CERN complex in Geneva, and it is actually in France and Switzerland on the border. Okay, and Shiva is the goddess of the destruction that comes to the earth to destroy. Right, and it is, of course, why we went to India to look at the religions over there, because it is the most godless country on the earth. There's over 1 billion people there. And very, very small population of Christianity, which we went to St. Michael's Church in northern India, up in the Himalayas, and the ceiling of it is 2.28 metres, which is the height of Mount Kosciuszko, and the age I was when I married, 22.28, on April 23rd, 1966. 1966 is Lucifer. You know the story about that, how it all came about. So when we was in Fiji, the holy man who was told by an angel to wake up and go down and see these people in number 12A, goes in and sees and studies me for a couple of days, looking at my facial features, and there's lines across the forehead which represent, and this is correct in that sense. It doesn't mean if he's got the religion right, he's got the actual meaning of the facial features, which are the future, past and present, which is Ezekiel's world within wheels. So all these little religions have got a little bit of the truth that has been diluted down over time by the demons within them. So he got that right. So a lot of the things that he talked about, of course, he then realised that I was what he said, Kali. Was it Kali he said it was?
Yes, Kali or Kalki, one of the two.
Kali,
it's all very confusing.
The god, the biggest, dickest, right?
Yeah.
And but it's all to do with the CERN going through from one realm to the other by taking a proton of an atom. Now I'm like, this is so stupid. Einstein says you can't exceed the speed of light, and yet they're doing it because they're taking in a 17-mile magnetic field, which is built under the border of Switzerland and France at CERN. And it's built on a area which was originally Abaddon in Greek.
Right.
So they had to get this Lucifer telescope on Mount Graham and look out in space, which they've been seeing these planets coming in for 50 odd years or more. They've dug all millions and billions and billions of dollars have spent on these tunnels under Russia, under England, under Australia, under the United States, they're everywhere. So much so that there is talk that they have crossed the actual United States underground.
Right.
So there was a time, however, when on either side of the Mississippi, what they was trying to do, and there was Marine Navy maps made showing the indoor sea, which when we found out about it, I said this ain't going to happen. And sure enough, there was 7,000 little earthquakes occurred along the Mississippi, which caused the two plates that was coming together, and this is called the Madrid fault line. So these two were pushing against each other, and what the idea was that the two plates, one will push over the other, one goes down, one goes up, and that creates a gigantic earthquake across the United States, but right up the middle of the Mississippi, which is 2,000 odd miles long. And it is, the idea was to create an indoor sea when this occurred. So with the Deepwater Horizon oil disaster owned by the Queen, BP, what I had done at that time was calculated the distances and the stars above and the moon, in particular at the moment of the deep horizon, was the moon position was the word Elizabeth, which owns BP. But it's also on the same latitude around the Earth as the big volcano that is threatening to slide into the Las Palmas island into the sea, and that would create a tidal wave that would hit the United States and all down the coast of Canada, right down to Mexico, and flood inland 200 miles, because the wave has been estimated to be between 200 feet high to 2,000 feet high. So whatever it would be, if it happened, would be a huge wave that would destroy the United States. Right? So you'd have all of the New York would be gone, Washington would be gone, Pentagon would be gone. Well, because they're trying to do that. They're trying to make it happen with harm. So you say, well, why would they do that? Well, they're trying to destroy the earth. It goes back to the 1950s when the Jewish leader at that time was sprouting on about the Talmud and how they was trying to bring back World War III with nuclear devices. And that was what Kennedy was killed over, because he wanted to look at the what the Jews were doing in Israel, building these nuclear weapons, because they were supposed to have a peaceful means for generating power, but in actual fact they was building all these nuclear weapons. And that's why they accused Iran of doing it, and Saddam Hussein of doing it, diverting the attention away from themselves, and are doing it where these other countries aren't doing it. So they can only do it with the cooperation of the Western world. You just can't build yourself a nuclear weapon without having all the facilities to create the necessary materials and the structures to do it. So it's not an easy happening. So what we have then is this CERN thing. This is the greatest machine ever built. And the insanity of it is they try to run something at faster than the speed of light, and Einstein, who was always wrong, has said you can't exceed the speed of light. And I've said before that if the light is coming off the sun's surface and the gravitational field there is gigantic, then as light escapes and goes further and further out, once it hits the Earth, it's doing what we now perceive and measurable at the speed of light. But go out past Jupiter, it's getting faster and faster and faster. So looking at deep space, something they're saying is 15 billion years distant, in actual fact, it's strictly an illusion. But just based on that mathematics, if light is speeding up, why would you have something measured at the speed of light on the Earth that is only one very small fraction of the speed of light as it escapes from the sun and goes out from our perspective? The light that's coming towards us, some is blue with a red shift as well. So that means light is coming towards us, light is going away. So therefore the speed of light must vary. Obviously, you wouldn't have two shifts, right? Same as the speed of sound varies. When you're going along and you hear a motorbike goes past, you'll hear the engine coming towards you, say Harley Davidson thrumming along, and as it goes past, it slows down. Yes. So it's speeding up as it comes towards you. This is a Doppler effect. So the same in light. So these idiots, they're bombarding the centre of the largest mass of an atom, a proton, towards each other from two different directions. So one is coming around the speed of light in one direction, and the other is coming around the speed of light in another direction. I'm not talking about one atom, they're probably talking about thousands of atoms, but one or two, because they're so small and sparse that they will collide, and occasionally I get a eureka moment when the two hit. And this gives off all sparks. They say, where do we go? Right? So what are they trying to do? Well, they're trying to open up this Stargate, like this is the latest thing. If you go back 10 years ago, you wouldn't have heard the word Stargate, but now there's a Stargate.
Yeah. Now, Stargate rhymes with Margate.
It does, doesn't it?
Which is just
now, my second wife comes from Margate.
Yes, this is
all. When CERN kicked off, a earthquake was felt in Margate.
Yes, and it was Adam Yates' friend, a former girlfriend, I think it was, that was interviewed by the BBC as she describes how she was shaken awake and in
But
fear.
it just is another coincidence. The
Another,
former
yes,
girlfriend
totally.
of Adam Yates, which is our number one man in the research,
Yes.
doing a great deal of work in the United Kingdom.
Mm.
And matter of fact, he does so much work, he overdoes it.
Yeah.
Keep it simple, Adam.
Yeah, keep it
He
simple.
keeps on digging all over the place.
I know.
Adam, keep it
And
simple.
How
Adam,
do-
stop doing that. Keep it simple.
How do you explain? I mean, his mind is
Oh, it's brilliant.
amazing. He's brilliant. But how do you explain to the natives of Papua New Guinea,
That's
who
right.
are like children?
That's right.
This
That's how you've got to keep it, Adam.
This is how all of us need to, our communications.
Well, New Guinea's a done deal. Fiji's a done
Yes,
deal.
yeah. But
Now we're going to New Zealand. That's going to be a done deal too.
Well-
we're going to see the king over there.
but
King
to
of the Maoris.
communicate
The
information.
Maoris are
and
wonderful people, you know. Every time the Queen goes, they bear their ass to her.
Yes,
you know.
yeah, they've got it
That's
right.
called mooning.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh dear, oh dear. Now, Catherine's back, everybody. She's in the chat room and she's been video conferencing with John, of course, and they are so much in love and it's all good. Now, Catherine was telling me about an article just now through the chat here. This is so funny. I mean, the con that CERN is. I hope you all saw that photograph they uploaded to my Facebook, guys, about the faces appearing in the beam, this latest one. Yas got it on the screen. We looked at it for the first time this morning as this guy saying, look at the demons they've released from hell. Look at these demon faces. And I'm thinking to myself, they don't look like demons. Every single one of those looks like some kind of an aspect of Yah, even if it's upside down. So we zeroed in to take a screenshot. Now, I did this. And I thought, this is Yah. They're looking for the God particle.
Well, I found him, right?
Well, they found him. It's BLGM. He's looking at you, kid, because the demons are already released. They're on the earth. They don't need to be released. They have been released.
The demons have been here ever since I cast out heaven. What am I looking for more demons for?
Anyway, I mean, think about the revelation and the description of Apollyon and all the rest of it. I mean, this is God speaking from his end when the whole world is thinking that these wankers, these men inspired by evil, it's Babel, the Tower of Babel all over again. So, all right, they ramp it up.
As we're going to load this up, these Israelis and the Mossad and all these idiots from around the world that are antichrist are going to be looking at this and say, oh shit.
It's him! Just like
what we've done with CERN has opened up the heaven's gate, if you like, and here he comes, the big brother looking at you. Right?
Yeah. So I upload it to the Facebook. This is laughable. It's the last laugh is like Benedict, who obviously got word and your photograph to the sculptor of the Archangel Michael, because the last was on Benedict. So here it is, these idiots thinking, oh, these are all, they've released the blah, 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 and all the rest of it. No, he's looking at you, kid. You wanted the God particle that holds all things together, the dark matter. Well, he has a name. Brian Leonard Golightly Marshall. Oh, my
Pretty good one, isn't
goodness gracious.
Yeah, so this is the first
funny.
flash of light they've got, and the collider hit the protons together, and what happens is my face pops up.
Yeah. Now, but of course the world is thinking these are demons. Well, these are the worlds that don't know. I mean, anyway.
That's what it looked like, that thing.
Yeah. Now, getting back to Catherine, she says, when I was on the plane coming here, meaning St. Louis, I was reading the Sky Mag, and this news reporter was interviewed, and she said her favourite story was that they could implant a sensor into your bloodstream, and your phone would call you and tell you that you're going to have a heart attack. So she says LMAO, capital letters.
Oh,
I say, well, how about the sense that causes the heart attack? Hello? And she says, you believe that, and you get that call. And then I say, can you imagine how many phones start going off? She's going, no, I can't even comprehend it. I said, it sounds like sport for them. This is the same dudes that have the body counts from all wars and the bet on them, all that kind of thing. And then I say, well, men's hearts fail them for fear at the sound of their phones ringing. Oh my God. Oh, anyway.
No, that's calling long distance. So this is what I've got on the screen now is this binocular thing which is on Mount Graham, and as part of the huge amount of astronomy that is being studied up there, and there's massive. You can't even calculate how much cost these things cost. There's nothing compared to CERN, however. But this is the Lucifer Mount Graham area where the Vatican has a very large part in what's going on up there. They force their way up. Let's see if I can see this. Go back a bit. This here I've got on the screen now is Malachi Martin. He was a Jesuit, and he died under very mysterious circumstances. He left a message on his deathbed that they had killed him because he had revealed that the Antichrist had taken over into the Vatican, and was talking about Freemasonry and how the Jesuits do it by infiltration into everything. So what I'm going to show you here is rather interesting because this is the photograph of. Sorry, zoom in a little bit. Get on the screen. There we go. So on the left is the God particle, and on the right is myself. You can see how my hair was quite short there, and just recently I shaved my head 2 months ago. And
you were shorn like a sheep.
Shorn like a sheep.
Unexpectedly.
Yeah.
But
it took me 71 years to grow it, and then I had it off.
Well, but you've been saying that you knew.
Right. So don't rave on. And what we have then is the two particles. We've got the one on the left, which is the what they've discovered at CERN, and it cost them several trillion dollars to do it. And they could have just made a phone call and sent them a photograph. It would have been a lot easier for them. So yeah, that's what's happened there. We go back the other way, see what we've got on this thing. Oh, this is something that's interesting. This is the insulin-resistant cell. I just captured this the other day. That's the glucose, and the glucose docks in here, and that part there, and it goes down to open the wall of the cell to let the sugar into your cell to give you energy. That's what that's all about. So that's another thing I was doing. So this is what we come across in Fiji. Cured people overnight with calcium hypochlorite. So here is the binocular thing again. Let's see what else I've got here. There it is. There's the Antichrist. Now this is the Pontifical Ecclesiastical Academy in Rome, and at Castel Gandolfo, where the Pope, going back hundreds of years, would spend the summertime, and there's two telescopes there at Castel Gandolfo.
Yes, there's majorly, yeah. It's where they're...
So this is what they think it's coming down. There's the white horse and the God particle, and it's their demons and so forth. But in actual fact, it's just part of Revelation. That means power, and the one sitting on the white horse, of course, is Christ, or God himself. So this is called the Hadron Collider in France and Switzerland. This is the largest machine ever built, and all so they can get two little protons to crash into each other at twice the speed of light. The one's going at speed of light in one direction, and the other's going. That's what I was talking about, the Doppler effect. So they were so crazy that it defies. Here it is, another shot of it. It is like you've got Alice up the top here. It's like Alice in Bloody Wonderland, and then this is Atlas, another place, and that's 17 miles across, around, 5 something or other. I did it before. I'll just do it again. Got 17 miles.
27, wasn't it, kilometres?
Divided by pi, 3.14159 gives you 5411. You want to look up 5411 just short this? And 2726.
Okay.
The 2726 is not that accurate because I'm doing it with a hand calculator, but 5411 in Greek I think was significant.
Alright, I have to open up.
So in other words, that's 5 miles across there, or it's 27 kilometres around. Give you some idea. Now, at the centre of this is the Shiva, what they expect Shiva to come through. Now, this thing, it is absolutely gigantic. Like a man would be in there somewhere, a little tiny man. If it was,
what's the
there's a man there.
What's the number again, babe?
Huh?
The number again? I've got
5411, I think.
5411?
Yeah, 5411.
In Greek is a load. That is a tax, tribute. And then in Hebrew, is that not what the world is burdened with? Tribute. In the Nathorn, Ezra, from Ezra 8:17, the proper form from 5414, one given, that is in the plural only the Nethinim or temple servants as given to that duty.
Okay, so look up 541, see what that is, because that's really a sloppy number. We don't know exactly if they're giving out the right information.
541 in Hebrew is take the right hand road, turn to the right.
So there's your God looking at you in the CERN saying take the right side.
Yeah, brightness, effulgence. And off flash.
A flash of light.
And off flash, yes, brightness.
So that's what they have inadvertently built this thing, because men do these things and they come up with these numbers, but it's put in their brain to come up with the numbers, and then all the others all agree with it. They're like chickens and lemmings running up the cliff. And they all think, oh, it's great. Now, we've got Stephen Hawking here, who's one of the greatest morons that ever lived. He said, I'll just translate here, which means, could destroy the universe, the God particle. Well, are you bloody, he's right there. I can destroy the universe. Right. I like the way he says it there. Interesting. So there's the God. This is outside the front of the bloody CERN in Switzerland, France, right? The Hindu god Shiva of creation and destruction. The statue on display at CERN complex in Geneva. Right? So they got this. The complex head is in Geneva. This is what up front.
Yes.
Shiva.
So I said, after seeing your...
Then there's a shadow on the blade. I mean, I'm speechless that these people are so stupid. I really am. Like, they have to be destroyed. You can't keep them, right?
No, the insanity is all engulfing.
It's also called the Hadron Collider. But look at the size. There's a man there. Look at the size of this thing. This is just part of it. They're putting it together. Right? You've got the largest permanent magnets in the world as well. Of course, all to do with Shiva and creation. That's why we went up to India to have a look at all this.
Yes, judge the insanity of it.
It shows all they got to do is wait for another 427,000 years and they're going to become one with God.
Well, and things will get darker and darker and darker. I mean, how much darker
can India get?
Can India or any place in the world where gross evil is having its way?
Oh, well, that'll surely do us for another slideshow there with my fizzog looking at you.
I wrote above this what I uploaded. I couldn't believe it when I was looking at it this morning. I mean, yeah, it just says, because we both watched it, and then I watched it around Yasa, and I thought, wait, because, the guy's talking about, there's the demons, there's the face of the demons, and I'm thinking to myself, doesn't look very scary, it looks rather cool. So I come around, I say very gingerly, because he is the Holy Ghost, and don't want to be offended. I said, yeah, it doesn't look like demons, this looks more like you.
Exactly the same, right?
But it looks more like you are today with your, with what happened to you a couple of weeks ago, and now your hair is growing back. Your wool, your pure wool is growing back. It looks more like you this day today, sitting across the desk from me, than the photograph from 2 years ago that I compared.
Quite lovely, really.
Oh, it does. You look he's so benevolent, not to the the evil. So I had said, hello, the great con CERN, the demons that have built CERN say they are looking for the God particle that holds all things together. Look what they found in the CERN beam from a few days ago. And yes, the God particle can destroy the earth and them. Here is looking at you, kid, as the last laugh is on them. Enough to send shivers down their spines. The screen capture I took from the faces that people are saying are demons, when the demons, as Yara's been telling those with ears to hear, are on the earth, in the men behind CERN and all the world's leaders, and all the churches, and in the multitudes. The capture looks just like Yara today. Anyway.
You know, the revelation is inaccurate in lots of things, and it's also not accurate in lots of things, but it does say quite specifically that Michael the Archangel had won the battle in the heavenly realm, and they got thrown to the earth.
To the earth.
Right?
Yeah.
That's Lucifer and it's all his demons are on the earth. Now, as I said before, God creates, so I created, and I continue to create. And I will continue to create. But I'll have to have cooperation with human beings, because I'm not going to give none to nothing unless they're doing as they're told this time. It's free will bullshit. It's the end. And this is what happens when you get free will.
Yeah.
You accept a Lucifer and his demons, and that incarnates into you. Right? Just open your mind up to it, and your soul is going to say, oh no, here they come. The demons that were in a past life are back again. Right? So there's a lot of demons out there, a lot of angels.
Absolutely, and they are influencing
billions.
Yeah, and they are influencing people's realities around them, so that they are seeing and experiencing things that they think are true because it's happening in their world, but it's not the truth, capital T.
Well, flies are the angels, and the maggots are the people that are infested with them, that are on a rotting carcass of Lucifer. Right? It's the beast. The beast is dead, and it's got the flies, the angels bring the maggot and infest it. Right? And they chew on this rotting meat. They live on it. Right? Well, that's what the earth is today.
Yeah.
It's a rotting carcass. So naturally I've got to show up and straighten it out.
Yes.
So they're saying, we've got these stargaters opening, and all these aliens are coming to the earth, and now they're going to say, well, you've been very naughty, and we've got Agenda 21 for you. You can't have too many children. You can't even collect the rainwater for your own. It's against the law in America to collect rainwater to drink. Can you believe it? They've got a law on rain.
Yeah. You can't share food. You can't do this.
You can't share food with your neighbours.
Yeah.
They've had the thousands upon thousands of these execution camps all across America, right? Where when the what was it called, Katrina, and I've been to these areas, by the way, and they actually blew up the river, the Mississippi River, because it's got the delta. My Miss American Pie drove my Chevy to the levee. The levees are either side of the Mississippi. It's huge. I drove along it. And they blew it up. The army went in and blew it up to let the water flood into Louisiana. And that's what caused all these people to be crowded into the stadium down there because of the floodwaters. That was the highest point. And then they rounded them all up. 300,000 people went missing. And of course they took them into the camps and beheaded them. Right? And no one gave a damn. Now, there was a woman down there that had diabetes, and her daughter showed up by talking, Negro woman, by talking to the men that were guarding the exits of the highways going into, what was the city called? St. Louis. And she went right to, she said, if I don't get in there with the insulin, my mother's going to die, so they let her through. And then she took the lady with the family and drove back out. Why couldn't they have taken the 25,000 or 30,000 or 100,000 people that was trapped in the stadium down there, on the same road?
Yes.
Like a couple of busfuls every day it would do.
Yes.
Bring food into them. No, they let this was a social experiment to see what was going to happen.
Yeah. And
then they rounded them all up and put them into the FEMA camps and beheaded them.
Well, and that was exposed by a general. It was somebody in the military anonymously. It was a
Contact
female as well.
Contacted them.
Well, it was uploaded to the net anonymously. This is what has happened, and we happened to see it and then highlighted it.
Yeah.
And then later...
Well, I was contacted
yes,
by
later.
a woman that was a fifth-generation general in the United States Army.
Later.
That had got out of it.
Yeah, she had retired.
Yeah.
She later, but it went no.
She was in charge of, when she was in the Army, she was in charge of organising all the goods that go out around the world.
Logistics.
All of the logistics, right?
Yeah.
So she had a very good finger on the pulse. And also, we was talking to Ralph, who was a paid assassin.
That's right.
And he said himself to us that the targets that he was sent to kill turned out to be people that weren't really a threat to the United States militarily, and that's what the idea of these assassins were all about, the CIA and Army and military and so forth. The only reason he got out of it and didn't kill him because his father was a very high-ranking admiral in the United States Navy. That's the only reason he got out. Lovely speaking voice, he'd make a great commentator. However, he's probably dead now because he spoke to us. Yeah, so there you go, you've got the God card. Now, what else? I'm living on the screen here, I want to mention that when I was in Canada with Pauline, who had, she tried desperately to get some pension money I had coming.
Pauline from Margate.
Pauline from Margate. And she sat on the side of, I had a small trailer, and she sat on the side, because I got the shits with her because she was doing something or other. And she went in and she sat on the bed, like there's a little concertina door between the bed and the kitchen part. It's only 23 foot long. And she was sitting there, and I said, I got the shits and I said, the angel, take her away, I better know.
Yeah.
The next thing, I look up and she's sitting there, she's got like, her jaw was clenched, her hands are out in front of her as if she was holding onto a imaginary...
so she looked frozen, did she?
She was terrified, frozen.
Yeah.
On the spot. And I looked at this and I thought, hello, what are the angels doing to her? I'm thinking to myself. And later on she got back, she said, I want to go home now. So I took her home, right? And she only came over to smoke dope. That was the lure.
So how long did that last that she sat there, do you think?
Well, several minutes.
Several minutes, yeah.
Several minutes. By the time I looked up and looked at her and realised that this was not, she wasn't moving, right? I thought, hello, what's going on? She was petrified and terrified and unable to move.
Yes.
Later on, she broke down and told me what happened. She said that she had been taken up. These were like two brass bars that were electrified and she couldn't let go of them. And she was taken up and she knew nothing about what I was doing. No. She was taken down a passage in the Great Pyramid.
Right.
And then up, the passage went upwards. She didn't know that. She knew absolutely nothing about it.
Yeah, right.
And then went up to another level where there was a big step and went in through this long passage.
Yes.
Into the King's Chamber. And she knew what the King's Chamber was. She said she went into the King's Chamber. And as she got into the King's Chamber, the ceiling was not there and it was a view of the sky.
The sky.
And what she saw was the face of God across the entire sky looking down into the King's Chamber.
Right. And
then almost took every muscle in the body to tell me. She said it was your face.
Yeah.
Really? So she never did achieve her wishes of getting all this money that was coming towards me. I said the money was so large an amount it took two accountants to write it. Well, that really turned her on, right? Because she was just in for the money.
Right. So
naturally, I didn't want the money. I just wanted my control, and of course that gave me a very small pension for life. That's good. So I'm going to live a long time. Right? So coming to Australia now, I meet Mary Magdalene, which is the next part of the step. She's born in Dundas Road, Preston, which is 3143, I think it is
3134.
3134 miles from the South Pole, which is the coming to my judgment Maranatha of Christ.
Yes.
And then her house, of course, which I moved in with and repaired and rebuilt and paid for, etc., is on a latitude which is 5813 kilometres from the South Pole. And because she had no idea, she inherited this place from her mother who lived on 666 Main Road, Eltham. Right, I'm thinking, oh, here we go. She's 1162.6 days younger than I.
Yes.
She antechamber width. Her daughter and my daughter is 1.626 years apart, and on it goes. This is how all the numbers fit, right? But the distance around the earth is 3168 kilometres. You're listening Jews out there around the earth, Lord Jesus Christ in Greek. Now there's some Jews out there who are pretty smart. They should be able to figure out what I'm saying is true and therefore be converted instantly. Will they be? Will they be? Well, you better be. I'll give you a final warning now, you better be. This ain't going to be happy if you ain't. Right. So you'll be going the way of the demons. Off. Through soon, if you like.
Yeah, there's a happy thought.
But with Pauline, with Michelle, she's such almost childlike all the time. And she'd get up dressing up and she went to tap dancing and all this kind of thing. While we go up in New Guinea curing people of AIDS, she's wanting me to come back to Australia to watch her go tap dancing. Like, who gives a fuck? So, finally I got the shits with her. And I said, that's it, that's the end, right? I couldn't stand it any longer. And she went out into the other bedroom and she sat laid in the bed and an angel walked across the room and she was so terrified she turned away from it, hiding her face in the pillow, and the angel sat on the bed and patted her on the back for 2 hours. It took her 3 months to tell me.
Yes, like Pauline.
Like Pauline. No difference, right?
And you did, you, yeah.
So finally when I found you, when I had to.
Oh, yeah, right. Now you're waiting for me to go in. I found you, the big reminder.
And we spoke for 171 minutes, which means?
And 38 seconds. Espoused.
It's just the length of the...
And it's the length of Shroud of Turin.
How did you forget such things? So, I'm used to dealing with angels and demons. The demons are in people, I can assure you, and the angels aren't. As simple as that. So I'm used to it. I've been doing it all my life. Right? And I am slowly coming to terms with the fact that people are totally demonized.
Yes.
Now, this is what you've got to be very, very careful of. Don't allow the demon in the door, because he's waiting to come and get you. Remember what I said, I create, they inhabit.
Yes.
Big difference.
Oh, yeah.
That's all they can do is inhabit. That's why Lucifer himself is in the Pope, Antichrist, at this moment.
Francis.
Now, it can move from one person to another. It can move out and go to the Rothschilds, depending on but it'll be in the Antichrist on, is it the 24th, when he addresses the UN?
Yes, 24th September, when he addresses the UN in New York.
Now, everybody's going to be watching that. So we've already put the word out there. Listen, they know that he is the Antichrist, right? They know he's the biggest demon of them all. Right? We've proven that with what Benedict said. So even if people don't know, there is a ether, if you like, of thoughts going around at this point in time that will pop into your head. And although you might not take it seriously, you hear these things and dismiss it. But the reality is, whatever you dismiss because you're a moron doesn't mean it's true or false. What it means is you're an idiot. Right? So if you don't believe what I'm telling you, then you've got a problem. Right? So this is all these religious groups that listen to me at the moment. You really have a problem. You've been swallowed by the Talmudic influence of the Zionists on the earth today, and this is what they're doing with all this money, building tunnels underground, so they're going to scurry underground. And what I was saying about the Mississippi River, the Madrid fault line, 7,000 earthquakes occurred simultaneously. That was on the internet for a while. You won't find it anymore. We've got it in some of our archives buried away. So that stops the gigantic poles crashing together of these two plates. And I say pole, I meant the leading edges. And that is why they had the deep horizon to lubricate it, because it went up along there, because that's what they're trying to do. But the CIA had tunnels on either side of it. Right? And the doors are locked shut. It went up to
it was
19.7, my name, Brian Leonard Marshall,
197
in atmospheres. So you take that times 14.5 pounds per square inch, that's how many pounds it was. You can do it on your calculator if you got it. And it was something over 200 pounds per square inch, more than a truck tyre. And then suddenly the doors blew off, because they couldn't hold it, and everything in it had been pressurised. So if it's been pressurised, the air pressure blows out. So even a rock, if it's been pressurised and suddenly you do decrease the pressure, it will just turn to powder.
Turn to powder.
Now, isn't there a prophecy about that?
There is. It's about the rock. Upon this rock, all who fall upon this rock will be broken. However,
this is
all who the rock falls on will be crushed to powder.
You've got to say, why on earth?
Ground
I've been doing
powder.
this. They've been known about me since I was a child, and before that, because they tried to kill my mother and stop her having a child. And this is what caused a problem between old Reggie, the stepfather, because he knew that he wasn't having sex with her, and yet she's pregnant. What's going on? Like it's sort of a hello. He was a dumb, stupid man, right? But he could count, and he could not possibly have been the father. When I looked like his brother, or him, I looked like him too.
Well, he looked like his brother anyway, yes.
Well, very handsome man.
Yeah, oh, completely, totally.
But he was taller. His brother was taller.
His brother was taller.
Because now I grew up to 6'3".
Yes.
Right? Well, and he's only 5'11". So I towered over him, right? Especially when he got older. But he hated me with a passion.
Yes.
Oh. Like, you're blaming a child, even if she did go off with someone else. He was already climbing the fence with all these other tarts that his husbands and boyfriends had bloody gone away at work to the war. He didn't mind, but he didn't like the idea of her having a bit on the side.
And then he became a self-righteous.
Didn't he?
Yeah. After your mum laid down the law.
Of course, this comes through my brother, half-brother. He told me.
Yes.
Because he was a sneak, and he looked at all the wedding certificates and all the kind of stuff, right? And he found the marriage certificate that was scratched out and made January to make him a legitimate son, when in actual fact it was the 20th of July 1934. Now you go out that vehicle out there, which you bought me for my birthday, my 69th birthday, and it was registered on the same date in 1996.
That's right.
20th of July.
Yes, and we're talking about the Ark of the Covenant. Now the Ark of the Covenant
That's
is the vehicle
vehicle
that carries around the Word of God. You know, the Ark of the Covenant, you know, they crap on about the Ten Commandments and all the rest of it. The Ark of the Covenant is that...
And it runs on gas.
Yeah, totally. A natural energy source.
Put this way, we could break down, say, several kilometres from the service station, put me up there, we'll still get it there, right?
And the Ark of the Covenant is not gold, it is candy apple green. Oh my goodness gracious me.
They think they're going to... No matter what they do, if they make a move, it's always going to be something that will be wrong for them. Because I'll just come back and do something, and I've already planned, like what we're going through at this very present moment. I've already manipulated it into a certain mind think that they're going to act in a certain way, which is the way I want them to act. But this is what the Grand Master of the universe does. It gets people to do things even against their will, or with their will, and they think that it's their will, but it's not their will.
It's thy will be done.
Thy will be done on earth. Right?
Oh, now the guys are over in the chat room. Hello Ross, and hello Mark, and hello Hirad. Good to hear from you, Hirad. Missed you yesterday. Missed all of you yesterday. That talking to an empty has become very real when there's not a bunch of you in the... But Ross was there. And Hirad, how are you feeling? And now Mark has been planting seeds. He's listening on his iPhone. He just talking about you can't grow food at home. Yes, that's right. We covered all that. And Hirad is saying couldn't comment for a while. Internet is poor. Oh, the internet causing such grief for Yah last night. It wasn't the internet. It was the stuff pouring in from the internet. That was.
It's a very, very odd situation. In one day, I got 16 downloads of information and packages of software, etc., that completely made and destroyed the machine. So I had to go in and through the back door to get rid of it, because these things are implanted in there and you don't even see them as a program. But all of a sudden they pop up and they be up and away, no matter what I did. So eventually I was able to use what is called Glary, which is a program that will go in and also eliminate, you've got to find them, of course. You've got to eliminate the... something like your own computer does it, but it'll go in and get rid of any software that you've got. But what I had to do was to go into the depths of the computer to find where the program was kicking off from. And one there, don't ever get it. Oh, It's called PC Utilities. Don't ever touch it. It was embedded 6 times, and every time you go to get rid of it in the control panel, please turn it off. Can't delete it while it's running because it's not running. Right?
Yeah.
So I had to go in and literally find the code for each of it, and it keeps on repeating itself, and copying itself again, and copying itself again. What a bastard of a thing it is. Oh, dear.
Anyway, it had a happy result. We got so desperate I phoned Peter and said,
Well,
totally
he's
stuffed
the
it. Yeah, he's the expert. We'll bring it around tomorrow.
What I ended up doing was taking everything on the desktop, creating a file, and this is good, everyone should do this, because I found the best way of doing it is to go into your window, into C drive, and all the programs will come up. So in that, where all the programs are, create a file, and then call it C desktop. Then, from there, you can put a link to it, to your desktop, which is a shortcut. Right? So you can always find it. You don't want to be searching for it. And therefore, what you do then, you select all of your desktop, except for the little ones that you might want to keep, the main Windows, so forth, recycle bin, things like that. And you pull it into the C drive, and that stores it on the C drive. You're not losing it, you just moved it away from the desktop, which only has so much memory that you can use up. So all these programs get on there, they embed themselves in your desktop. You can't see them. But by selecting everything and dragging it over to now the C file, you can then access it when you need to, and then close it again to run a program or find drawings, which is these drawings here. I'll just give you some idea of the drawings that I was just picking up this morning. These are all drawings, right? And so what we have then is C drive here, and these were on, all these were on the desktop. Right, so they show up in here. There was your program stuff with coat of arms, for example. You click on that and you have a look at it. It's now empty because I emptied it. Right? So the point being is now I'll take all these, right, which I'll do now, show you how to do it. Just take all those and we'll take it over to the C drive, which is there, right? So you just drop it in there. So the best way of doing it is you open it up and then you locate it wherever it is, down here somewhere. It should be called C drive. You can't let me find it now. Hello, darling. What have you done to me?
Who? We've got a picture of some.
Well, it's there somewhere. I don't know. And now I can't find it.
No.
Anyhow, it's that simple.
All right. Now, just on to important things. So here it says he just drank some calcium hypochlorite. Everything is fine. This is what we're all waiting to hear about.
What you do is I'll get the camera on it.
And now, Mark.
I'm dragging it over. These drawings here, I'm dragging over, and this is taking it to straight C drive where I've got them stored, right? So you can take all these, one go. Now that's using up memory, which you don't really want to be using up while you're trying to run a program like a movie or something that you got on YouTube or something like that. So we just pull them over into that, into that, into that, into that. There's 2 of them up there, get rid of them.
Now, Mark has a question. He said, I was just thinking, do the laws of physics change or remain the same?
They change. Your laws of physics is locked up to the time and environment that you're in. And they can be changed. Especially you put a bullet through your head, you'll find that physics don't apply except for the bullet, so to speak. Now, we won't worry about that one. Alright, so what we've done, we've now reduced this down. There's nothing sitting there except for the recycle bin in my computer and Pale Moon, which is what we use for our running our program, so it's something like that. So it streams quite well as opposed to before. You see the size of the men running around down here? This thing is gigantic. Imagine that's going out and linked to 17 miles of magnetic It's a pipe really of magnetism. And therefore they start these things. It's a brilliant piece of engineering. I mean, they go and hand it to them. They're very clever in that sense of what they're trying to achieve. We've got no way of achieving it, of course, but what they did, they had my face looking at them.
all I could do is come up with your face.
Go
ahead, make my day.
Go ahead, make my day. Yeah, like bullshit your ways onwards, spend the money. This amount of money they spent on this thing alone would have been enough to feed the world.
Yes, of course.
Because they don't want to do that.
No.
They want to kill them. Yeah, so there you go, baby.
Now, what is it about the 2710 you were talking about? You were talking about pipe in 2710. Well, 27 kilometres is the length of the CERN, isn't it?
27 kilometres around.
Around.
I've been able to dig too deep into it. You probably never will find the actual length of it because it's something will be...
Because you woke up this morning and you said 2710. So I'm looking at it now in Greek. It is to overuse, that is misuse, abuse.
Yeah, well, that's right. So I wanted to explain to you that if a child is taught the violin or piano as a youngster when they're growing up, the brain will form, the surface of the brain, which is the cortex, it's all, as you know, if you look at it, it's got these sort of little valleys and crevices and bits sticking out, and it's all over the place. It's like a prune. But you can reshape that by teaching the child as a youngster. Now, I resisted forever, as long as I possibly could. I would turn away and not watch what the teacher was showing me, trying to get me to learn to read. And the funny story about that is when I was down at the sisters, there was Sister Margaret Mary. Hello. This is like a coincidental name, right?
Yeah.
And she was a cruel little witch, she was. And she would beat me with let's say a 25mm or 1-inch square stick.
Yeah.
And my thumb, she had built me there, and that would be all blue daily, right? Because I refused to read. She'd put a book down in front of me, read that. I wouldn't. As a matter of fact, I couldn't.
Yes.
I never, ever. I remember seeing at the previous class, so I was 6 when I was 5, when they was trying to teach me to read, the teacher would hold up a card, THE, I remember it, because this is my problem, I've got a photographic memory. So it's a THE, and I look away, and I didn't want it. This is the word "the," right? So I wouldn't do that, because what happens is when you learn to read at that early age, your brain loses the ability to memorise, because you are then relying on the written word to do the work for you.
Yes.
So what happened was she made it so difficult that day after day after day she'd beat me because I wouldn't do anything like that. So I thought, I got to get out of this somehow. Now my sister used to start school, which I went to school with on the tram with, a half hour earlier than I, and she would finish a half hour later because I was in the first grade or whatever it was. And I thought, well, I got to outsmart this old witch. So I went in and stole the book, took it home with my sister on the tram. Usually I should race the tram home, I'd run. I'll tell you a funny story about that too. And just to get into a little bit, the train driver would see me run every day, and he'd try to beat me, but he'd have to stop and let passengers off and let the other one on, and then take off again. He'd be doing 40 miles an hour, and he'd eventually catch up as I'm just sprinting through the next stop, right? So there's about 6 stops right up to where I had to turn off to go home. And my sister had agreed that she would read it to me and I'd memorise it. So it was quite a long book, and like catechism or something. And I didn't even know what the numbers were, because I wouldn't, like you said to me, what's number 7, how do you draw it? I would not. I refused to even think about it. So letters, numbers, reading, no way. But I had this fantastic memory. So she did. And over a period of several days, I would take the book back first thing in the morning, put it back in the class where the old bag had it. And then I'd come back after the class would be closed, kindergarten, whatever it was, and I'd take it back home and she'd read it, and then I'd come back and I'd memorise it and put it back. This went on for days. But finally, she walked around in with a stick, and she opened the page up and she said, "Read it." And I started to stammer. And she said, "Look, the first word is blah, blah, and she gave him the first few words, right?
The clue.
The clue, right? I said, and off I went. Well, she jumped back with horror and surprise and delight, all in the same face, right? He's doing it. So then she invited Sister Helen, who was the Mother Superior, to come and teach. She said, I've finally done it.
This is her victory.
So she's up the back, right? And I seen her come in like the shadow of death. And the two were up the back, and she said, Master Marshall, read page 72. I remember this. Well, I didn't know what 72 was. So I'm sort of stammering away, and she said, she says, this is the first few words, and she read the first few words, right? So then I was off.
Right.
Right? And I'm just going through it, no problem, right? And pages open, right? So I'm reading away, I'm just going on. I had to be very careful I didn't go to the next page.
Yes, right.
The shadow of death seemed to lure over the top of me. It's Sister bloody Ellen, right?
Looking above you from above.
And she puts her hands down and she said, Sister Margaret, yes, he's reading it upside down. I memorised it. That continued the beating from then on. Oh dear, my poor hands, right? Purple bruised hands. Right.
Mark has another question. He says, can they get past the Van Allen radiation belt?
Who?
Mark is asking. Well,
no, you can't. No, like a human being in a spaceship, of course not.
No. Yeah.
Van Allen, who came up with that just prior to the launching of the stupidity of going to the moon, had made it quite plain. You can't go through it. This is what the radiation is. This is what it kills you. It destroys you. It's like being put in a bloody microwave oven, right? Worse. And the Russians had sent a monkey, a chimpanzee, out into space past the Van Allen belt and brought it back dead as a doornail, right?
Yes.
So this was a problem. Now they estimated that it would have to be 6 inches of lead in a spacecraft to go through the Van Allen belt. Well, that's pretty heavy to get off the ground, right? Also, opening the window is a bit of a problem. So they couldn't do it, right?
Yeah.
So this is what happened. But he later had to rechange his story because they threatened him.
Yes.
And I think they killed him as well.
Yeah. And of course, you've been to NASA, haven't you?
Yes,
and seen the space module.
I did all that. Now, the funny thing was, this Bob Stats, friend of mine, he's the wildest little creature you know. He was a very, very funny man, a good friend of mine. He had a welding contract and he couldn't weld. And a welding truck with a Lincoln welder on the back of it, on this Ford F100.
This is in Canada, right?
In Canada, in Fort McMurray. He got this huge contract to repair these Athabasca sands of the lake there. Has these barges that carry oil across the lake. This is 300 miles.
Yeah.
And the seas come up and these things start being pulled by tugs. They get belted around. So the damage from the ends of them was quite extreme. So he had a contract to repair them.
And he couldn't weld.
Yes, he couldn't weld. No one couldn't do it. So the only one he thought he could do it was me. So he phones me up and goes, no worries, right? So I get over there, and these things are gigantic. We're talking something that might be, say, 50 metres long and 20 metres wide, and 4 or 5 metres high. And the ends are completely damaged, but on one side, usually. Or there'll be another one in this yard. There's hundreds of them.
Yes.
Right? So there might be 2 or 3 of these that have got to be repaired at the same time. So I just went and measured them all up and started cutting it all out and thought, right, that's the way you do. So we tacked them all together and then I had to weld them all up. Well, Lee thought, this is great. Well, he's making a fortune, I'm doing the work.
Getting all the glory.
So, marry Pauline. Come back, Canada. Go down to NASA.
Yeah, to see the space shuttle,
to
right?
see the space... No. It just happened to be in Florida when I thought, we're in bloody Cape Canaveral, we'll go and have a look.
Right.
And we're getting there just as they're going to launch one of these space shuttles.
Right.
So this is good. So we watched the damn thing take off. Right? It was quite a marvellous sight. Right? The Saturn rocket they used for the bullshit moon landing is 35 stories high. Can you imagine that? Go to a huge building downtown and start counting the floors. When you get on to 35, that's how high this damn thing is. And it's as wide as a house, and the rocket motors has got 5 rockets on the bottom of it. All they are big egg cups with the fuel comes running down, heats up in the egg cup shape, and then it's ignited. So it's hydrogen and oxygen, pretty powerful stuff. I think it's hydrogen and oxygen, but it's something like that. Certainly hydrogen. So it's liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen, I'm pretty sure. Anyhow, that's not the space shuttle itself. So anyhow, I've decided we want to go, because they had the space shuttle, you can go and have for $7 or whatever it was, and you go through it. Well, this will be all right, I'm going to look, see what the idiots get up to. So I'm standing in line for a long time, the people are just filing, and as I'm getting closer, it's a cardboard bloody mock-up of the space shuttle. They had real wheels, that's it. Right? And they're walking inside, it's all cardboard, so I wasn't going to pay $7 to go into that damn thing, right? So I said to Pauline, well, we'll come back tomorrow. Just bloody standing here for an hour and all that kind of stuff. So we went the next morning, we get there bright and early, and went first in, right? And I don't think we even paid. I think we just walked straight on, right? And they got all the instrument panel, it's all cardboard, and they got this bloody other thing, cardboard, and all the walls of cardboard. I said, what a load of bullshit, typical Yanks, right? So as I'm walking out, walk down the stairs, who should be standing there but Bob Stats? Now we've got 330 million people in America, and then Canada's another 30 odd million. So there's 360 million, not counting Mexico. And there's Bob Stats, my old buddy, standing there chatting up, and he's got his hair all frizzed up like a bloody girl.
So it was an afro.
Like an afro. Right. Yeah, straight hair.
Right.
And they've got it all curled, right?
Oh, yes.
I thought, oh, you bloody crazy wank, and he's wearing pink shorts and a yellow top, right?
He was wearing pink shorts.
He's a little guy, right?
Yeah.
But he'd talking up, as he's talking to you, right? He's just bloody sinus, right? Yeah. He's all snorting like this, right? So he's chatting his bird up, and he's trying to take her home to get into her pants, I guess. And she'd have been very disappointed, right? So yeah, I thought, will I say hello to him? But he couldn't help himself. He'd have told about the good old days when we was chasing the birds up in Fort McMurray, and my wife Pauline was paranoid jealous of me. Whatever I did, I didn't even have to look at a girl and she'd be nuts.
Yes.
Right? I knew a woman for 25 years that used to talk to me on the phone. It was my buddy's wife.
Yes.
And they broke up, and she was sort of heartbroken about Ray leaving her.
Right.
Because he got caught with a bird from over at the university. He was going to learn where he was going to be at Comulson College as an electrical instructor.
Right.
He's sort of an ego type of freak guy. And anyhow, he got into this bird over there. And she found out about it. He actually came back, and he said to me, I said, I've been out with this bird over in bloody Comulson from the university, Simon Fraser. And he said, I feel so guilty about it. And I said, oh, well, just forget about it, right? You're not going to see no more. That's it, it's over. Yeah. She said, I've got to tell Faye. I said, what? I said, are you insane? You're going to tell Faye, who has trusted you, and she was a virgin to you when you got married, you to her, and now you're going to blab your guts that you've been with someone else just to make you feel better and destroy her life for the rest of her life. She's never going to trust you again. And she said, oh yeah, but so don't do it. Promise me. All right, he says. So he does. He tells her. Right? That broke the marriage up.
And it did. It destroyed her life and his life.
Well, she used to phone me and talk to me because I was one of the old friends that we were together with when I was younger, when I first went to Canada. And Pauline was paranoid, jealous that she wanted my body. I said, look, this is a very good friend of mine. Right? There's nothing like that.
Yes.
Right? She's just a friend. She's just someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Well, Pauline was beside herself.
So this is all going through your mind as you
all
see
that
Bob
happened,
Stats, your old buddy.
Old Bob Stats. He'd be talking about the birds he was chasing up in Fort McMurray, right?
Oh my goodness! So, to your great disappointment, you steer Pauline away. Get out of it.
I just cannot risk it because I know what he's like.
Yes. Yes.
Within seconds he'd be up and on about it. The old days, right?
Yes.
And I thought, no, I just can't do it.
So that was your experience of the shuttle program and all the rest of it, and this all came from.
He was so transfixed on this girl who was chatting up.
He did, yeah.
That he never even glanced up at me.
Yes.
I walked past. I said,
oh dear. All right. Well, we're way over time again, guys. Over there in the chat room. So no, Mark. That's it in a nutshell. No, can't get past the Van Allen radiation belt. No. And the whole moon landing, as you know, was a hoax. It was all studio.
In fact, I proved the moon landing. One of the things I was doing, of course, was researching. I was really quite stunned by the fact that everything is bullshit.
Yeah. It's the world of lies.
The world of lies.
The Jew that went to hell.
Everything's bullshit. So I looked into looked into the moon hoax, of course, and within 10 seconds I had it nailed. Why? What was it? Well, all the photographs got one of Neil Aldrin and Armstrong, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. They're out on the moon surface, and I think it was Buzz Aldrin doing a kangaroo hop. I thought that's rather ironic. And he's bouncing along.
Oh, yeah, right.
And the sun is 40 times brighter because there's no atmosphere than the Earth. And he's got his space shield up.
His visor
open. His visor open. Otherwise, if you put it down, it'll fill us over it because we're in the MGS studio in London when they're doing it, when they're making it. This is Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
You did it. So he's got the bloody face shield up, right? But as they're jumping across, the camera inside the lunar lander was following them slightly, right? So wait a minute, who's in the lunar lander on the camera? Because Collins is up in the bloody lunar module, going around, waiting for him to come back up. And now, I also had an astronomy program, which was called orbital mechanics, and you could punch in any sphere, gravitational field, and then see if you can orbit it. Well, you can't orbit the moon. You can go around it. You go, well, what it is, the height of one orbit is 657 feet above the surface, down to 69 feet. Miles, sorry. And then you can flick down into space. Why? Because you got the sun, you got the Earth orbiting it, and then you got the moon orbiting the Earth. So when it's coming around, when it's moving away from the sun, the speed is increased by 2,300 miles per hour, and as it's going towards the sun, around the Earth, or the Earth's equator, say, just call it the equator, which is not quite, it's either above it or below it, but it is travelling at 2,300 miles an hour faster than the Earth's orbit. So therefore, when that is going around, the Earth is holding the moon in place, but the moon can't hold anything orbiting it in place because the speed varies from 2,300 going towards the sun, or 2,300, that's 4,600 miles per hour, which is higher than the gravitational field can hold it in place. Therefore, a third, look at all of the moons of Saturn or Jupiter, 63 of them, none have little orbiting moons around it.
So, bottom line is an
bottom
object
line,
like
can't
me.
be done.
No.
So, the Russians got on with that, real Atlantic feast. They were the first to the moon. You know that? When they first landed a spacecraft on the moon.
But it wasn't manned.
No, it couldn't be manned.
No.
They realised with the chimpanzee boom pride that they can't go through the Van Allen belt. They didn't have to do the math to find out there's a Van Allen belt. They just sent a gorilla out, right?
Came back fried.
Come back dead.
Fried
So
gorilla.
that's
Charred
make it
gorilla.
easy, right? So that's where that happened. So now, how do I prove it? Forget the orbital mechanics, and that's the logical part, right? Here he is, they're bouncing along, he's got the space visor up, so there's bullshit there, he'd be blinded in a second if they were on the moon. And there's all these moist footprints all over the place. Well, it's all dust on the moon, you can't have moisture up there. So no matter what you do, you would never form a footprint. That's number two. But number three, the most important of all, well, I'll give you 2 points. I'll go for the later point first. When you take a photograph from the moon at any particular time of month and year, the area of the Earth that's in the direct sight of the moon will tell you what time of year it is, what time of day it is. So the photograph they got supposedly 1,000 miles out coming back from the moon, they just thought they better take a photograph. They actually spoke about that, whether they should have wasted film on taking the first photograph as they're coming around the moon. That's the moon Earth shot, right? But, so they're 100,000 miles out, they've got a bit of film left over, and it shows Australia. But it shows Australia on the 24th of December 1968. I'll give you the exact time.
So months before they were supposedly,
Exactly. Right? Now, was it a manned mission? Of course not. It was a genuine photograph.
Yeah.
Right? They did go around the moon and come whipping back in, right? They didn't orbit the moon, they just went around and come back, because you can't orbit the moon. Right? So as they're coming back in and take a photograph, 100,000, that'll do. That's what the Apollo astronauts took on the way back in. Great, whoopee. Okay, so that proved absolutely. But the ones that's taken on the moon surface in the MGM studio was lit with what is called mercury vapor lamp. They didn't have halogen then. right? Because halogen does give a wavelength that is similar to the sun. That's why it's there's a halogen right there, right?
Mm.
So mercury vapour, how that works is you take a little heating ball inside where the mercury condenses down, it runs down into a little globule, and they pass electrical current through that, and as it heats up and electrical current, it starts to vaporise, and then when it vapourises, it takes about 700 volts DC to do it. When it vapourises, then the whole thing glows.
Mm.
The mercury glows, and it gives off this glow, which is so evident, if ever you've seen it, that it's got a slight purple glow to it.
Mm.
And therefore, the photographs taken by the non-existent Collins in the module, when he's running the camera back and forth to the lab, and so there's these two are on the outside, jumping around, we're in this same spectrum as the mercury vapour.
Studio.
Now, how dumb is that? They're outside. What if they can't open the bloody door again? Get back in. Well, it's not a real problem when you're in an MGM studio. Right? And it wasn't them anyhow.
Now,
the photographs was not Alderman, or there were two CIA agents which had no relatives, and afterwards they killed them.
they were dead, absolutely. And this is why the astronaut...
Rumsfeld was involved.
Yes.
Donald Rumsfeld,
Yes,
the Doctor of Death.
Yep, Doctor of Death. Now, Mark is also asking, why does only Earth hold life in our solar
That's how I
system?
created it.
Pretty very sick. The KISS
Look,
principle...
all right, I'll give you a few little facts, right? The distance to the Moon, the distance to the Earth from the Sun, the orbit of the Earth, and the movement of the solar system north through the Milky Way galaxy at 69,000 kilometres per hour and 43,200 miles per hour for the Americans out there, is the only reason why the Earth is tilted over at 23.5 degrees to give you the seasons, because of the fact that if it was stationary, the sun would pull the Earth into it within a matter of days, and you'd be so hot and then you'd be dead.
So it's the perfection of the location, the creation of the Earth as first, and the bottom line is that the Earth is the testing or the proving ground for the souls made in the image of God, or the ones that are made in the image of their father, which is the devil, the sons of Cain.
Now, the old story in the Bible, there's many mansions in my father's house. Well, Jesus talking about me in my father's house. Right? So we're going to perfect the earth, and then when you're all perfected and we've got all demons off the world and they're all done with, and we've got nice little babies growing up, we educate them properly, right? Teach them to read when they're 5 or 6 year olds and know what's going to be on. We're going to play violins and musical instruments, and when they've got their mind developed so they can memorise entirely, then at the age of 8 we'll then start to learn to read phonetically, and then teach them the bullshit way that the lexicons now was developed in the English language to make it so difficult that for the average person could not read, because it's supposed to be phonetic. Yeah. So it is the most difficult language to for.
Well, they've made it that way. It's not when you remove all their rules, like I before E, except after C, and all the rest of it, and E before Y, and then you drop the N bar.
After you learn to read phonetically.
Yeah. So the bottom line is, Mark, that
give another little
the earth comes first. It's God's footstool. It's where God is, and everything for the last thousands of years since Adam, man on earth, has been to prove the souls, like dross, silver in the refiner's fire, given up to 7 times to get it right, and then this is why we're in the end of times. It's the end of the cycles of reincarnation of the soul. You've either made it or haven't.
The orbit of the earth is controlled by the offset weight of the moon flicking around it. Right? That's why the moon goes up to 20 odd degrees north and 20 odd degrees south. It's more than that, it's about 28 degrees north and 28 degrees south. And occasionally across the 25 degree latitude where the solar eclipse occurs. And that'll give you a distance to where I was born, or whatever the case may be, which is all to do with the magnificence of the creation. Because if I'm going to create it, I must do it so it suits me, not suit the idiot that wants to ask a stupid question. But I don't mean, not to you, Ross, I don't mean that.
No.
What I'm saying is that on the 4th of July each year, which is American Day, it is the furthest, although it's midsummer, it is the furthest the earth is from the moon, from the sun. Why is that so? Well, because it is tilted, the northern hemisphere is tilted towards, but it is below the equatorial line of the sun, and it's tilted towards the sun. if it was the other way around, if it was on the 4th of January each year, as Australia is, it's tilted away from the sun. Now, because it's tilted away, the summers aren't extremely hot. If it was tilted towards, it would burn to a crisp. America, on the other hand, being tilted towards during the 4th of July period, if it was tilted away, it would be permanently frozen.
Frozen.
So even that, if you asked any person, they'd probably not know that. But the reason for it is to maintain life.
Perfection, the balance.
The balance, right?
Life for men in the creation, and then when the 1,000 years of the reign of God on the earth, everybody's soul and physical body is perfected, and the creation itself restored to perfection, then it'll be a duplication across, and it'll happen in
Adam and
an
Eve's
instant.
story is a parable, of course, but Adam and Eve, the old story is they didn't have a navel because they didn't have a mother. Right? So here they are, they're created without a navel for that. But what it means is a mature creation. In other words, you don't create something and then slowly bring it into existence over billions of years. You create it as is, as you want it. The woolly animals were created as is, right, on the spot. Why? Because it's following a cycle. So which comes first, the chicken or the egg? The chicken.
The chicken.
Right? So now, well, that's some eggs. So it's all built into the creation itself because it was already perfected in heaven and then brought to the earth. That's why the heavenly Garden of Eden, if you like, the parable there is that Adam couldn't obey one simple command and got kicked out because of it.
Right.
Sin. The whole idea is sin. What did he eat? An apple? Who cares? It's a sin. Look,
To
all you got to do,
disobey.
Adam, you want to have life, you want to be where I am and stay in a perpetual happiness forever, don't sin.
Yeah, which is...
What is man today? Totally demonized.
Yeah. Fallen in nature.
And all, you say, well, why don't they tell the truth? Well, they can't tell the truth because if they tell the truth, they'd be talking what I'm talking about. So therefore,
There's no
they have
truth
to
in them.
lie as part of the Talmud.
Yeah.
Right? As what John Strobel said, it's a filthy little religion that should have been wiped
Obliterated
out 2,000 years ago.
On that note, we've really got to go.
Boy.
We're up to 82 minutes. We've got places to go this afternoon. Thank you. We know that, Ross. It's all right. So I corrected you. It's a selfie. Mark was asking the questions.
What's the question?
No, that's right. It's all right. It's all right. He wasn't referring to Mark anyway, but he don't worry. I sorted
So it doesn't really matter if you go over a radio program wise. This is a video.
No, I know that, but we've got to go. All right?
We don't have to.
Yes, we do. We have an appointment to get to, and
No, we don't.
later gators.
Because I fixed the computer.
Yeah.
I just got a ring finger.
Yeah. All right, no problem. 83
Yeah,
minutes,
that's
over and
good.
out. Back tomorrow. Thank you, boys. Later gators.